cut. Change for us all. Is no restart.
Big move in Bitcoin then, in contrast to all the notes I wrote pre-show, which were telling me that this was going to put Bitcoin under pressure.
The narrative that perhaps this launch of these political meme coins will sap flows from Bitcoin is showing us that it's really not the case this morning. If anything, it's just accelerated the momentum and the excitement around cryptocurrency under another Trump administration.
Hi, Dewald. What is all this FOMO about? Should I buy Bitcoin now?
Are you smoking your socks? You should rather watch my show. You should rather watch my show.
All right, legends, welcome to another live stream. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Let me just make sure that I've got this right over here. Hope you all had a nice, fantastic weekend. Spend it with friends, family. Maybe you traded this boring range over here. Maybe you were waiting for some action over the weekend and all you got was this, right? Not sure how you successfully traded that, maybe with some insane 500x leverage on a low fee exchange. Maybe you made some money, but not much has happened since my live stream on Friday. I think I did a live stream on Friday and we were here and now we are here. So not much has changed, legends. Welcome to the live stream. Remember to smash up that like button. Let me just put the music a little bit softer here in the background. Okay, let's do that. Right, I will say hi to the community in a moment. The probabilities has not changed, so I'm just going to do a quick recap of what I still see here from a technical perspective, highlight the levels that I'm still watching, which has not changed, except for two things that I'm going to highlight here in the live stream. So it's not going to be a long live stream, guys. There's just not much to talk to. But what I do want to talk about is I have added 2 more altcoins to my portfolio. Yes, you heard me right. Crazy Dewald, the person that smokes his socks after the live streams, maybe even sometimes before the live streams, I have added 2 more altcoins to my portfolio. But from a disclaimer perspective, I've added a very small positions, and yeah, I don't think you guys can see it over there, right? I've hidden that top bar so that I don't spill the beans unnecessary over here. Okay, let's get into the alpha. Mark Dutch, welcome to the live stream. Stefan1, great to see you here, man. Mad love, all you sexy fib dancers, right? Yes, I think I should have actually called my channel 618 because you all know how much I love the 618. Dewald is live on a Monday. Yes, I am here on a Monday. I wasn't planning to go live. And then also I looked at the market and it's like, not much has changed, but I thought, let me do a quick recap of what I'm seeing here from a technical perspective. And we can keep it as simple as support and resistance. And we can go as complex as Elliott wave theory. Something very interesting about Elliott wave theory that I'll tackle just before I end off the live stream. If you're an Elliott wave hater and you think it's BS, well, that's where you can jump off the stream, because there's something very interesting about Elliott wave theory I want to share with someone, with you guys, with the community. Right, legends, I'm here on the 4-hour time frame, okay? And without keeping it too complex, let me switch on my support and my resistance boxes. Right, so I have my support, my resistance boxes over here, and I should actually just drag them all a little bit to the side, but you guys get the point. Where did we get the rejection? I have not moved these boxes. Since last week, I have not moved these boxes. And where did we get the rejection? This morning. Okay, inside of resistance. That's where we got the rejection. So, without going into Elliott wave theory, okay, you short resistance, okay, and you long support, right? Nice little bounce there on support, okay? It's just, look at the rejection inside the resistance box over there. Anyways, legends, there was one specific level that I spoke to the legends on Friday, and I told the legends this is an very boring range for me to trade. I don't feel like trading this range. It is just choppy, it's boring, and there's only 3 zones that I'm watching. If price hits any of those 3 zones, only then will I enter a trade. And then one of the zones got hit. Thank goodness. Okay, not really convincingly yet to the downside, but I mean, money is money at the end of the day, because when you do reject at resistance and you start hitting support, that's where you start taking some profits, right? Your positions should be protected. And for the Legends Pro community, yeah, I know there's a lot of you here in the Simon Jones, like you yourself, okay? You know the deal, right? When you short resistance, you take profits when you hit support. When you hit support and you're long to the upside, you take profits at resistance. Okay, it's as simple as it gets. So what I want to discuss, let's just keep it simple. Let's go here onto the 1 hour time frame. Let's look at the structure here on the 1 hour time frame. I'm just going to keep it simple before I look at the larger time frame over here, legends. You can see I still have an alarm here that did not go off. Anyways, if I look at this structure here on the 1 hour time frame, this is what I highlighted to the Legends Pro community. Okay, let's just keep it simple. What I told the Legends Pro community is, if my short zone box gets hit, I'm looking for a short, and until it gets hit, I'm not looking for anything, right? Where the price goes down first, then up, where the price goes up first, then down, I don't care. If any of these boxes gets hit, that is where I'm going to be paying attention. I added a new little fresh box over here. So the pro members already know about this little box, which I want to talk about. And this is one of the new boxes that I've added over here. And the reason I added this little box over here is because of the following. Okay, do you all remember what happened? Okay, where the market just left everyone behind. Do you guys remember when we made the low and we started rampaging here to the upside? When you take a fib from the low of this structure to the high, what happened? Okay, what happened? We did not tap a minimum target. The 0.382 is considered a minimum target. The 0.236 is considered a rare target, very shallow retracement. And that's the only target we got. We did not tap the 0.382. Okay, again, from this low to the high of this little structure, what happened? The same thing. Okay. After this high was made, we got the 2.36 and we continued to the upside. Right? Also, this structure from the low to the high, what did we get? Oh yeah, we got our first 0.382 tap. Finally, we got a 0.382 tap over here. Finally. But all I was trying to highlight to the Legends community this morning is to say that we just need to see how we're going to react at that level, right? Because we are day traders. We're not saying we're going to tap the 2.36 and go to $130,000. That's not what I'm saying, legends. I'm just saying it's a very interesting zone to pay attention to, because based on the previous bounces that we've had inside of this structure, okay, I know that there's a lot of liquidity lying beneath these little lows over here. So all I'm looking at is if price does come to the zone and I see acceptance back above the level, I'm going to be interested in a longing position with my stop below the low. And guess where I'm going to take profits? When we hit resistance. I'm just looking for a day trade, right? You can leave some open for higher levels. Leave 10-15% of your position open for some higher levels, but I am looking for day trades. I'm a day trader. I've got swing trades open. I've got investments. I've got spot backs. That's, there for when we go to the moon or to Mars, or maybe hopefully Venus and Pluto, let's say. Okay, Pluto is not a planet anymore, but you guys get the point. Right? That is what those bags are there for. But from a day trading perspective, I want to get in and I want to get out. I want to get in and I want to get out. Support, resistance, and that's how I play the game. Okay, right. So, if I now switch on my point of controls, this is where it gets interesting. So my first point of control here to the top got tapped, and that was the zone that I highlighted to the Legends Pro community. Naked point of control. This is why I had this box over here, because I didn't know which one. Is it going to tap this one or this one? Well, that was a nice little rejection, claiming the lows over here. Definitely a profit taking area. Maybe you leave some of the position open because there's a chance that it can come and tap this box before it moves higher, and then maybe it moves down again. Maybe there's some nice little scalp longs and shorts here for us. So the next level to the upside that I'm watching, okay, let's just wrap this up here on the 1 hour time frame. I'm still looking for a rejection over here, okay, or maybe even just from this high. Okay, we'll see how price reacts, because there's still a lot of resistance here. We only tapped the resistance box. There's still liquidity above. Also, when I switch on my weekly levels, you'll see there's also a weekly naked point of control over here. Okay, so there's still untapped resistance there, which means that you could still double top. Okay, you create a double top and you fall back to the downside. So I'm still interested in shorts in the zone, depending on how price is going to react. As long as price is above my area of interest, I'm not interested. Then I'm just going to let my swing trades and my moon bags, okay, spot bags run to the upside, right? That is a popcorn moment. As long as price is above my area of interest, that is where I make some popcorn and I just enjoy the price action to the upside, because I've worked hard on my swing trades and I'm just going to let them ride. Okay, there's still some areas to the upside, if I'm not mistaken. I think not much, but I think there should be, if I'm not mistaken, there should be a point of control inside of here. I don't know why I deleted it. Let's do this. There should be a point of control inside here. Okay, so I'm going to copy one of those, because that should be the last line in the sand. Okay, you have to have this level on your chart, guys. You have to have this level. Okay, these little consolidation areas, when you form these little tops, that little point of control there in the middle is definitely a rejection area. Okay, so we still have one last line in the sand. Yeah, the 110. Let's just call it $111,000. Nice little round number. Okay, then also looking at the structure, there's a couple of ways, guys, and I'm going to dive into Elliott wave theory in a moment, where we basically make it a little bit more complex. But from a support and resistance perspective, I'm still looking for a rejection in the zone. So if price continues up here, still a very interesting zone for me for a short. If price falls to the downside, okay, 0.236, I'm going to see how price reacts in the zone. What's also interesting about the zone for me is, let me just swing my face here to the other side, switch on the liquidity map. Okay, there's a lot of liquidity at $106,000. Can you guys see $106,000? Okay, $106,000 inside of this box. There's a lot of liquidity, and usually when you hit a pool of liquidity, okay, you get a reaction. I'm just looking to take advantage of that little bounce here to the upside, because it can make a lower high and roll to the downside, or maybe we move down first and then get the bounce to the upside. However, if price comes here first, I'm looking for a short. If price comes here first, I'm looking for a long. And then obviously a little bit further down, which is a better technical level. Let me rather just call it that. It's a better technical level because it's a more common minimum target. You have the 0.382 also with a naked point of control, where I'm going to be looking for a long, grabbing all of the liquidity below these lows. You also have a range low strategy. I've often spoken about the range low strategy and also the rules that you have to follow around the strategy. I'm not going to dive into too much details with these rules. Okay, yeah, by the 50%, I'm not sure if I'm technically not really interested in the 50% Fibonacci, because there's nothing going on here. And a little bit further down, this is where we get to the 0.618 naked point of control. We have a fresh weekly level that printed on Sunday, a fresh weekly level. So still a very interesting zone where I will be looking for a long. Right, this, okay, and okay, wait. Let me just wrap this up and then I'm going to speak about that level again. Right, so legends, from a trading perspective, short, long, long. This is now where it starts getting a little bit interesting. Okay, because once price gets here, this is going to be a very interesting longing zone. Okay, and this is where I'm going to bring in Elliot Wave Fury and speak about a couple of scenarios, because this could be the zone where you make your final low before you continue with the bull market back to the upside. So this is a significant zone to get the bounce. Okay, so for the bulls out there, this could be the bounce. That could be the bounce. Okay, if you can read between the lines. It's either going to be this one, or it's going to be this one. And I wish I could tell you that it's this one or it's this one. I can't. It's either going to be this one or it's going to be this one. Right. But for me, this is an interesting zone to build a swing position. Okay. Right, legends. And this is just based on probabilities and scenarios from an Elliott wave perspective. Right, okay, so let me switch off some levels. Let me take this out the way. So that's basically what I'm looking here at the smaller time frames. Weekly point of controls, just FYI guys, weekly naked point of controls, they are very powerful. So if price comes up here, okay, maybe it's either going to swing those highs or it's going to reject here by this weekly naked point of control. Something that I want to see here at the moment is I just want to check something. If this is a A and this is a B, I just want to see if we are still within flat targets. Okay. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think we got rejected by the 1.236. Yes. Yes, that is where price got rejected. Right? So we still have the... Oof. Now that I like. Okay, when you start bringing, when you go a little bit complex and you start creating additional areas of confluence. Can you guys see? If I take this wave, because I'm counting this as a wave, and this could potentially be a B wave, a three-wave structure wave. You've already rejected, together with that naked point of control, at the 1.236. Now this weekly naked point of control, together with that other point of control, slightly a little bit above, okay, is in confluence with the 1.382. So this zone is still B flat target zones, which means that this is A, this could be a B, and then you go down for a C. Now this is where it's going to get interesting, legends. If this is A and this is a three-wave B that is forming over here, it can still take the highs, no problem, as long as it does not tap the 1.618. Okay, so preferably it rejects here by the 1.382 maximum target without claiming the highs, because that's a nice little market psychology trick that will play out over here. Because once price, you can just imagine, guys, because this is what often happens, is price comes here to the upside it's going to claim the highs. It's going to claim the highs. And then it rejects over here with the area that we've identified, and it falls back to the downside. And then everyone wanting to short the highs here from a swing failure perspective gets left behind. Okay, and then price falls down in a 5-wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is where it's going to get interesting. Okay, from an Elliott wave perspective, there's a scenario, okay, where we don't claim the low. And we most likely claim this $100,000 area, and we get the bounce to the upside. And then, unfortunately, there's also the very same scenario that says, well, we could claim the low, and maybe we come and bounce on this naked weekly point of control. But basically, you claim the lows. Okay, you get acceptance back above, trigger my long, stop goes below the low, and that one of these two, guys, I'm telling you now, one of these two has a high chance of being the bounce. Okay, it's going to be interesting to see how price develops. Okay, it's just been such a boring week the last week. Okay, I'm not sure how you guys, if you have been trading, maybe you've been frustrated with the trading, because I know I've been frustrated. I've just been doing other things. I haven't been trading except this. That's the only short I jumped in today. When we tapped the lows, I took 60% profits, so I still have 40% of the position open. My position is protected. If I get stopped out, at least I get stopped out with 60% profit. Okay, if we move down lower, then I've got this little, okay, that 1.236 that I highlighted as my TP2, TP3, I close my position. Right, it's just a day trade, but I've already taken majority of the profits. So, that is basically what I'm looking at, legends. So just want to quickly go back here to the 4-hour time frame, and let's just zoom into this structure over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, it's this little consolidation that we've been in. Okay, very interesting box. I must actually, well, I do have a box there. Okay, I think I do have my box shorting zone there to the upside. Right, so definitely a zone that I'm going to be paying attention to. So, legends, there's a chance for this completed WXY. Okay, there's a chance that this could be the low. There's a chance that this is the low. You maybe fall down, you create a higher low, and you continue to the upside. Okay, there's also a chance that, because I know, guys, part of the corrective structure, and I'm going to redraw this corrective structure now. Okay, there is a better way to draw this corrective structure, but part of the corrective structure is that there's another corrective structure that has the exact same ending, where it ends over here, and then only does the bull market continue. But this is not a bullish structure. This is still part of the correction. Okay, it really reminds me of what happened here. Do you guys remember that previous range that we were in? Let me go back here. Do you guys remember this long corrective structure that we were in? There's a lot of people that counted this as a bullish structure. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we just had the rampage to the upside. But you could also count this corrective structure where the correction actually ended over here, and this was the first impulsive structure. Okay. I think it was an A, B, C, D. I can't remember. But anyways, legends, I'm going to draw it out for you guys now. Okay, so let's go back to where we are at the moment. There is, and I mean, I have to say, thanks to Kun, there is a better way of counting this WXY. But like I've mentioned in Friday's live stream, okay, you get to the same answer regardless of how you count the structure. But if you want to be really technical, correct, and you look at all the mistakes and the impulses and the A waves and the B waves inside of the structure, there is a way where you move your X over here. That's it. You take this out the way, and you have yourselves an A, B, C, D, E. Okay. But same, you know, same end result. But I do agree with Kun. This is a better way of counting the internal structures. They just balance way better. Right, so I saw this on one of Kunz's videos where he said, guys, yes, I agree that this could be the low, but this is a better way of counting the structure, right? But we get to the same answer. Okay, now, based on this structure, there is now a chance, okay, that we can form, okay, where the low is in. But there is also another count where this moves over here and we are still busy with the Y, which for me looks better. It looks more symmetrical. It looks way more in balance, because you guys can see with this little scenario, yeah, this Y wave is incredibly short. Look at how short this Y wave is compared to the W and the X. Look at these two beautiful long legs, and then you have this thing here that doesn't balance from a timing perspective, from a ratio perspective, from a symmetrical perspective. It doesn't really balance. So there's a chance that this is still part of the X wave over here. Okay, X, and now we're busy with a Y. Now, this is now where the debate comes in, legends, is the following. Okay, this Y does not have to take the low, but it can. And this is why I'm saying you're either going to create a higher low or you're going to take the low. And I know exactly where I will be looking for a long once we take this low. I know exactly where I'll be looking for a long. So it's either going to be here, where I'm going to be looking for a long with great risk management, because hopefully I can get in there with a swing failure pattern, protect my position, and if I'm wrong, I get stopped out at break even. So what I'm trying to highlight over here, legends, this structure, you need to pay attention to this structure, because this structure is a very important structure. It's very boring, it's very choppy, okay, but it could be the most important structure inside of this entire range that we formed so far. This structure, we need to pay attention, okay, because if we get a deeper correction here to the downside, 618, okay, 786, without claiming the low, I can play those swing failure patterns from the Fibonacci levels. If you take your Fib, okay, from the low to the high. Okay, let me take that one out the way. Guys, this is where you need to pay attention, okay? Price dips below the 618, it gets acceptance back above, I will attempt a long. Price dips below the 786, it gets acceptance back above, I will attempt a long, because I know this is a critical zone, because it does not have to take the low. Why? Does not have to take the low, but it could. If it does take the low, obviously a swing failure pattern from the low. If price dips below, gets acceptance back above, that's where I'm going to trigger my long. But from a support and resistance perspective, okay, there's a very interesting level. I want to draw your attention to this Fibonacci pool. I need to put this in, yeah, right, switch that off. Take this out the way. Take a trend-based Fib from the high, okay, to this low, right? You guys see, from to this low to this high over here. Can you guys see? To this high, okay? Just drag it across just to get the levels. I'm going to reverse it to the downside. Okay, you can see where we got the bounce already, 0.618. Can you see where we got the bounce? Next area that I'm going to be paying attention to is the 786, because the easiest way to trade it, if we do lose the low here to the downside, the easiest way to trade it is to wait for price to get accepted, like we did over here. Okay, price, you keep an eye on this low. Price fell below and it started trading above. That's where you trigger your long, your stop goes below the low. So that's the easiest way to trade it. Okay, so I'm going to apply the same rule over here. If price falls to the downside, it gets acceptance back above the low, that's where my stop loss go. This is where I enter. Price has to trade above my area of interest. Okay, I'm not interested as long as it's below my area of interest. But you could also, for a better entry, pay attention to the 786. Because I will treat that as a swing failure line. Price dips below my level, like it did over here. Okay, it starts trading above my level, I know where to put my stop loss, I know where to enter, and there's a good chance that this little low is going to take you to the all-time high. There's a good chance, okay? But I know myself well enough that I will be taking profits on the way up, especially when you start hitting major resistance. That is definitely a profit-taking area for me right over there. If I do nail this and we do take the low, that is definitely a TP1 area for me. Okay. It's just my trading plan at the end of the day. Right, together with the 786, and this is where it becomes interesting. Let me just bring some more price action into the screen. I switch on the VRVP just to show you guys, you know, I'm not smoking my socks. There's something going on there at the 786. And as you can see, also when I switch on my support and my resistance boxes, okay, yeah, at the 786, look at this. There's a high volume node. Okay, so there is support. A little bit further down, you have the 1-to-1 extension, also a high volume node. Remember, guys, as long as price, I say this so often, and I say it for a reason. If price falls to the downside, as long as price is below my area of interest, I'm not interested. I'm not going to try there and be that guy that wants to show off how you nailed the low. No, because that's how you burn an account. Because what if it continues, okay, and it just slices through? Now you're deep underwater, maybe, you know, especially if you play with high leverage positions. So if price is below my area of interest, I will wait for the next level. If it doesn't tap my level and it starts getting acceptance back above, that is where I get interested in the long. If price is still below my area, then I'm interested in the next area. And you can see after the 1-to-1 extension inside of this consolidation area, we have a massive gap in volume. So if it's going to lose these two zones over here, it's going to most probably accelerate to the downside until it hits the 1.618. So, you know, you do not want to be on the wrong side of these two trades. Okay, because these are where the liquidation events takes place. Right, guys, but you know, these levels are still very far away. So if we do take the low, just to wrap it up over here, okay, just from a simplicity perspective, support, resistance, I'm looking at the 786. It would be very rare to tap the same support, okay, and not the next level, because this one has already been claimed. It already served its purpose. So if price does fall here aggressively to the downside, okay, I would expect it to at least tap this level before it gets acceptance back above. So it's going to be a very interesting low over here. Right, legends, remember also, if you want to come and trade with me and get the biggest sign-up bonuses, that Bluffin, wow, War of the Whales is happening at the moment. 14 days left for this competition. I've got my swing trades open. I've also got that trade on Bitcoin open, that short that I entered early this morning. So, right, legends, link for the competition is right here. Second link to register for the competition and join the Bitcoin Census team, where you're trading together with myself and Andy, where we can grab our share of $4.2 million. Right. Also, if you want to register with Bluffin, here is the link. I changed it in the last live stream to 20, but you get 20% cash back on the money that you deposit in your futures account. Weeks, 20%, 25% discount on your trading fees. BTCC, right, up to $10,000 sign-up bonus. Right, guys, all you need with all of these exchanges is an email and a password, or cell phone number and a password to sign up, and you can start trading. Okay, you don't need to submit all those unwanted documents. Right. Cool, legends, let's get back here into the technical analysis. It's also your way to support the channel. So always down in the description is where I've got all the links. Also, if you want to join our Legends Pro community, okay, link here down in the description. Right, okay, legends. So now let me switch off the VRVP. I've now explained all the levels. So I want to just highlight it, legends, based on this scenario. It doesn't matter how you count this corrective structure, okay? I don't want to go into too much of the scenarios, but basically what I am looking at, there's a chance, okay, that this is a 5-wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could be an A, B, C. It makes the low and it goes, right? There's a chance that it could do that. So this is why I'm interested in those little boxes. Okay, but there's also a chance that it's going to go a little bit lower. There's also a chance that this structure is a damn 3-wave structure, because that's the problem with 5-wave structures. You can often count them as 3-wave structures as well. Okay, maybe this was a ABC here to the upside. Okay, this is a WXY, doesn't matter, right? And or WX, and maybe it's going to form a zigzag here to the downside, make a lower high and continue momentum here up to the upside. But I think the most important thing I want to highlight here, legends, is there's a good chance for a higher low without claiming the low, and we're going to bounce. But there's also that the one that I would like the most is to actually claim the low, okay, because it will give me a better entry. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, these two levels over here, that is where I'm going to be very interested in opening up a swing position on Bitcoin. Very, very interested, because it gives me a much better entry. Okay, much better entry. Right, and that is basically what I see. I don't want to go into all the Elliott wave scenarios now. They are exactly the same as I explained on Friday. And right, legends. So and based on all the Elliott wave theory scenarios that I have at the moment, there's a chance, okay, that we are going to continue either up here in a, but I would expect a deeper retracement at least. It would be very strange for price to just rocket from here. It would be very strange, okay? And I'm going to come into the live stream and say, guys, I did not expect that. But based on the structure that is formed at the moment, it would be very strange for price to just do that without at least a slight deeper retracement. Okay, because if this is then an impulse in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you want to see an A, B, C with a little bit deeper retracement, hitting some of, you know, at least your minimum Fibonacci, which is still rare, your 0.236. If you take a fib from the low to the high of the structure, we have not even tapped the 2.36, which is already extremely rare. That's how shallow it is. But we have not even tapped this level yet. So for price to just rocket from here would be very strange. Ideally, you want to hit the 0.382. Okay, so once price hits one of these levels, then I would say, okay, well, now there's a chance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC. Now it can go up for a third wave. So there's a high chance that price could form a higher low in the zone without claiming the low, and then off to the races we go. Okay, then there's also that scenario, the one that I also really like, where we go and claim the high once more. We reject by that weekly point of control. Okay, now this is a scenario that's very interesting to me. If we can punch up here, claim this high again, we do not claim these highs, we reject, then fall down. Okay, now because yeah, that's the beauty of a short. Okay, that's the beauty of a long back to the upside. Okay, I will observe the reaction at these levels, at the zones that I've highlighted. Right, the zones, that's where I'm going to be paying attention to for potential longs back to the upside. But I think from a psychology perspective, the most interesting scenario would be to claim the highs again and then move down. Okay, right, legends, remember to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. Now I want to talk about, I know guys, no one wants to talk about altcoins. Who wants to talk? Who has altcoins in their portfolio? Dewald must be the only goddamn YouTuber that is smoking his socks that's crazy enough to have a damn goddamn altcoin portfolio. Yes, guys, I do have an altcoin portfolio, and I do have swing trades open, and they are currently all in profit for now. And if they do go lower, right, I have adding zones where I'm going to add to those. But I just quickly wanted to talk about 2 lotto tickets that I opened up this morning. Okay, just 2 lotto tickets. So you all know about, let me put my face here on the other side. Right, guys, here's my blue list over here. You all know about Litecoin. Okay, that's where I have a swing position open on Litecoin already. And the reason I have a swing position open on Litecoin is it because it went into my buy box. Okay, if something goes into my buy zone, I buy. Okay, I don't just tell you guys that's a buy zone. If I have a buy zone there, I buy. This is where I bought Litecoin. It also broke the trend. Okay, now it's nibbling at a bigger trend over here. Can you guys see this trend? Okay, this trend, look where it's breaking out. But now I already have an entry over here. This is why I entered up into the swing trade in the zone. So, guys, I know that no one wants to buy altcoins at the moment. Well, fuck it, you know, I have to follow my rules. Okay, Fetch. I'm still being a little bit patient here on Fetch, but I mean it is nibbling here at the trend. The corrective structure was made after the 0.382. 0.618. It also tapped my buy zone, but I missed Fetch over here. I missed it. Okay, so it's becoming interesting over here. Maybe just to nibble a little bit. Right, but I do have a big spot position in Fetch, so I'm not really, you know, that interested in a swing position. Right, Link, you all know about Link, guys. Dip into my buy zone. ICP, okay, it was here. As long as it's in my buy zone, I buy. Right, but I've got enough ICP at the moment. Doge, we've spoken about Doge. Doge also just needs to load up. Right, Doge broke out, and this was a trend that I highlighted to the pro community on the weekend. Let me just put my face here back. Right, guys, this is what I highlighted to our Legends Pro community. This is interesting. We're breaking trend. Pay attention. Okay, this is usually where you're supposed to be building positions. Right, stop goes below the low. If price moves up, okay, you can start de-risking yourself, protecting your position. Okay, right, but the two I want to talk about today is that you all know, okay, no one wants to talk about it, but I told everyone it's a lotto ticket. It is such a small portion of my portfolio is Umbrella. Okay, but I was looking for two more because I have a gap in my portfolio. I wanted two more high risk tokens that I can add, not just Umbrella. I don't just want one because I know Umbrella can go to zero. Okay, but it's a lotto ticket. It's not a significant part of my portfolio, so I'm calling it a lotto ticket. So I bought some Moon River. Can you believe I bought some Moon River? Okay, I like the fundamentals and the technicals especially looks great. Right, I'm tracking this little momentum here to the downside. Okay, it hasn't broken out yet, but I mean from that is interesting to me what's happening over there on the local time frames. Let me just take these brushes out, go back here onto the 4-hour time frame. Now this is where it looks interesting, guys. I just have to stress, guys, this is not a token where you go 2-3% of your portfolio. This is a lotto ticket. Because these are one of those tokens that could 50x, that it could 100x. I don't know what it's going to do, but it has potential for a lot of upside because of how small the market cap is. I like the fundamentals, and as you can see, here is my entry. And I will add, I do have a limit order because for swing trades or for spot positions, I do use limit orders. From a day trading perspective, 99% of my trades are executed via market order. But from a swing trade and a spot perspective, I do use limit orders because you also save on the fees. Okay, so this is now where, okay, I've added Moon River, right? Because it broke this little local trend over here. This little local trend broke the trend. Looks interesting, okay? And I do have some limit orders down here as well, right? That will kick in, and it's a small little bag. The other one that I added is GRT. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with the two that I've added. It's not as high risk as Umbrella, but you know, they're still fairly small compared to some of your bigger altcoins like Solana and Ethereum and so forth, right? I do like, you guys can see it hit my buy zone, okay? GRT hit my buy zone, my alarms went off. Okay, beautiful support. You had the small deviation over here, but you can see it's the floor, right? It's hitting the floor. And I mean, guys, for me, from a technical perspective, Okay, when GRT was over here and when GRT was over here, everyone wished they bought over here. God damn it, why did I not buy the floor? Okay, when GRT was here and it started rampaging here to the upside, do you know how many people stared at this chart and said, fuck, why did I not buy over there? Because that's where the most fear was. That is where no one wanted to buy. Well, now I'm telling you guys again, it hit the floor. And this is why I added. Okay, just the best way that I can explain it. When it hits the floor and no one wants to buy and no one is interested and everyone says we're not going to have an altcoin season. Well, guys, this is where I get really interested because I trade against the sentiment. Okay. Right. So also another reason I added a little bit to GRT, is of the following. Tracking this momentum here to the downside. Well, what do you see? Is breaking out, and there's a daily candle above that trend. And usually when there's a daily candle above a major trend, okay, and even if you do get a retracement, it increases the probabilities that this low could be protected because of that, right? So you get a retracement and then it pops to the upside, or it just trades outside of the trend like it's doing now with Doge at the moment. And at some point, okay, it gets the pop to the upside. So guys, this is not a large portion of my portfolio. I do have limit orders slightly below of areas of interest on the smaller time frames, but I just wanted to share with everyone, I am still buying altcoins. I still have my swing positions open. If price goes to lower levels, I have limit orders in place that will kick in and buy me in at lower levels to drag my entry down very strategically. And I also know where to get out from a swing trade perspective, but from a spot perspective, I'm loaded. I'm locked and loaded. I'm not adding anything more from a spot perspective. Right, let me go through some comments. Doop doop doop. What is happening here? You guys are talking different languages that I don't understand. What about Ondo coin? Yes, Ondo. Okay, I can take some altcoin requests here, guys. I don't know if you will be interested in altcoin requests. Okay, I'm just sharing with you guys what I am doing. But what I can tell everyone is, let me just swing my face back to this side. This morning, I spent 3.5 hours going through this entire list. And it was a lot longer because I deleted a lot of tokens out of this list where the technicals just look shit. I went through everything over here. And through everything that I went through, these ones, okay, the blue list, the orange list, and the red list looks very interesting. Something interesting to point out, Floki, I never thought that I would be surprised about the technicals that I'm seeing here on Floki, a meme coin. Guys, this looks really fucking interesting. Okay, I did not realize that Floki was going to give me beautiful technical analysis where I start getting goosebumps and I'm like, ooh, dare I add this to my portfolio, right? It just looks absolutely sexy. But there's one problem. I'll show you guys the problem now. There's only one problem that I see here on Floki. But from a technical perspective, this is where I get really exciting. Look at this, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you made the high here on Floki. Beautiful, perfect 5-wave structure. It balances to perfection. It follows all the Elliott wave rules, okay? And then you had this beautiful 3-wave corrective structure. So it's corrected itself. The impulse has now corrected itself. Okay, then you guys know the rules. What I do is, okay, from a timing perspective, doesn't make sense. You take a time fib from the low to the high. Ooh, okay, it's already past the 1-to-1 extension. This is where I get exciting. Okay, if the low was made here, you guys know, then I'm not even interested. Okay, but now it becomes interesting because I'm seeing a 3-wave structure to the downside. This is where it gets interesting. It tapped the 1.382, which is a 3 structure target. Okay, it's moved up in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This looks like it's now moved up in an impulsive way, and now this structure is correcting itself. So it looks like Floki, for Guys, I've never had Floki in my portfolio. I never considered even buying Floki, but when I did the technical analysis on all the altcoins that was here in this list, and I saw this, I was like, damn, son. Technically, I don't care about the fundamentals, but the technicals look fucking amazing. Okay, right, I just had to point that out, right, guys? The one thing that I don't like is, for now, the three-wave structure looks beautiful. You have an A 3-wave B, and a C wave here to the downside that did tap a C wave target. Okay, but the 1.618 is also a C wave target. So the worst case scenario that I see for Floki is that this was either the low, and this was now the 1, 2, and it's going to build a 3, 4, 5 here to the upside. So it has a chance that this is the low. Okay, and it's going to go right. You need to have your trend, be ready. I'm going to play the break-off trend. I already decided I'm going to be safe with this one. I'm going to play the break-off trend so that I can protect my position, and if I'm wrong, I get stopped out. Because the problem that I see here with Floki is it's still bullish, is that it can still come and claim the low here at the 1.618. Okay, because this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because a C wave has to be a 5-wave structure. Okay, there's already a big 4 wave. It's starting to reduce in probabilities, which tells me that there's a high chance that this could be the low. But I'm just saying, from worst case perspective, there's a chance that Floki could take the low again, bounce on the 1.618, and then get momentum to the upside. But this scenario does carry lower probability. It has not been invalidated just as yet. Yeah. Anyways, guys, it looks beautiful, right? It looks pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the break-off trend. I want Floki to break out. Because once Floki claims that high, if it breaks out here and it claims that high, I don't care if it rejects again, but if it claims that high, you then significantly reduce the probabilities of this. This goes out the window, and that's the low. So I can wait patiently for the breakout, add a position here, and ride the momentum to the upside. It was never a token I ever considered adding to my portfolio, but when I saw the technicals, I was like, damn, son, this looks nice. It looks really nice. Okay, right, Ondo USDT. I have a feeling Ondo is one of those that no, I didn't, just before I made that comment. Well, guys, I remember all the, if it's here in my list, I remember all of them, right? I also did some technical analysis here on Mr. Ondo. Right, it's hitting the floor. So this is an interesting buy zone. If you missed that one, also swing failure pattern from the low. Now I'm just waiting for the break of the trend. Guys, I'm not going to play all the altcoins. Okay, there's no ways in hell that I'm going to have 50 altcoins, 100 altcoins in my portfolio. At some point, you need to narrow them down, because I can tell you now that I can make more money with 10 altcoins in my portfolio than someone with 50 altcoins in their portfolio, because I can manage them. I know where to take profits. Okay, their structures looks nice. I have my profit-taking areas marked out. My alarms are going to go off. I'm going to know where to take. It's easier to manage 10 tokens than to try and manage 50 tokens. Right, anyways, so when I say I will wait for the breakout, not I'm going to play the breakout. If you are interested in playing Ondo, wait for the breakout. Okay? This is potentially also a great buying zone over here. This is a great buying zone because you can see it's massive support, and it's holding it at the moment. Right, that's it. I'm just going to keep it as simple as that, guys. Just that's how simple it is. Obviously, if you are a larger trader and you are trading with $100,000, $1 million, okay, you would sit on your hands and you would wait, because a confirmation buy is a more guaranteed trade, although you get a higher entry. Remember, guys, risk to reward in this zone is better. But a confirmation trade has a higher probability that you are going to make money and not get stopped out. So a confirmation trade on Ondo would be let it break out and let it claim the high. let it do that and wait for the retracement. Okay, because that is a confirmation buy. Yes, you do get a higher entry, but now you have a higher high. Okay, you form a higher low. You're starting to change market structure. That's basically what it boils down to. This is a way better trade than speculating on a trade here, unless you can protect your position, unless you can apply great risk management over here. Okay, but I know institutions, people that trade with large accounts, okay, they would wait for this. And then they will wait for the retracement to add. Maybe there's a nice little three-wave structure, trend forming, you play that breakout. Okay, let's go through some more comments. Jeffrey Smoking Socks. Right, Super Chat. Mr. Super Chat from Automate. Thoughts on BTC going below 100k again next month? Yes, Atom Mate, I do have a scenario. Let me just put my face here on the right hand side of the screen. I do have a scenario. Let me quickly point that out for you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Let me point out that scenario. Okay, there is unfortunately a scenario. Yeah, let me take this out, and it's not this one. That one is invalidated. Where do I have it? Not the contracting, local. Here we go. There is unfortunately still this scenario on the table. Okay. Right, sorry guys, my brother phoning me here at the moment. I don't know why I have my WhatsApp open for some reason on my computer. Let me just take it off. Right. So there is a scenario, and this is what I'm saying, guys. This could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have your C wave, okay? So, I mean, the structure is taking long, so this needs to drag up. Right, so I wish I could give you guys a little bit more of good news, but this scenario, unfortunately, is still in play. And I mean, I need to update the scenario because, okay, something like this. Right, C wave ends over there as well. So there's a chance, okay, and unfortunately, the invalidation for this scenario is very far away. And this is why I'm just talking about, you know, this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you could form that higher low inside of the structure that I've just explained. A higher low, you go up for a third wave. So I want to take advantage of that trade. Okay, but then after you formed a 4 and a 5, where you basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you form a C wave, which is an A, B, C flat, and that little bad boy over there can take the low of A, no problemo. It can even go here to $96,000. Unfortunately, the scenario is still in play, and it has not been invalidated. And the only invalidation for this scenario, depending on what happens here more locally, if we do start forming some three-wave structures, because remember, okay, where's that super chat? Atom Mate, remember that this B wave over here, okay, this B wave over here, okay, is now forming the last, I know this gets confusing, the C wave, okay, there's your C, right? So you basically have a three-wave A, and now you have an A, B, C, a three-wave structure inside of your B wave, of which this structure has to be a C wave, which has to be a 5-wave impulse. So if this structure more locally starts giving signs of three-waviness, I could invalidate the structure before we even hit these targets. But for the moment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like a 5-wave structure. So the only target to the upside that will invalidate this little B is $119,000, 224, because this B wave is not allowed to tap this target. So if price rampages to the upside, okay, this will invalidate this last leg here to the downside, or at least give it very low probability. But the thing is, I want to take advantage of the momentum here to the upside. I'm not going to trade in fear of, oh God, what if it does play out? Okay, I can trade this. I can trade this. Okay, I can take profits here. I can leave a moon bag open for higher levels. Okay, but I'm not going to trade in fear, thinking that there's a chance for the scenario to play out, and before I know it, we're at $130,000, and I'm like, shit, I could have played the long over here. But because I was scared of this scenario, now I missed out on this entire move. That's not how I trade. Okay, but to your point, there is a scenario that supports taking the high, okay, and still taking the low again. Right, where you're basically just continuing the range, right? And then you continue to the upside. Not sure. Beating doesn't require right. What else? Dewald in Elliott wave is the W is longer than Y. Dewald in Elliott wave theory, if the W is longer than Y, can be short. If W is longer, the Y can be short. Yes, but I like to see a relationship between the waves. So, it's all just about relationships at the end of the day, and also that 0.382 target that I usually highlight. So if you have, okay, let's say you've got your W, okay, this is your X, or this was your X, and now this is your Y. Okay, because a lot of people have the triangle over here. A lot of people are looking at this little triangle. X formed a triangle, which is a better way of counting the structure, by the way. Okay, there's your triangle in your X wave. So the issue that I have is the relationship from a timing perspective. So if I measure how long it took to form W, and I then go and measure how long did it form to take Y, this is something that irritates me, is that the Y is made before the 0.382. So I have no problem with Y being shorter, but at least after the 0.382. There has to be a relationship in time. So this, okay, is not sexy at all. So I don't necessarily need that, the one-to-one extension, where it's exactly the same length as W. I'm not saying about that, but at least come and finish after the minimum requirement, okay? Because now this is starting to lower probabilities from a timing perspective. This is a very short Y compared to the long W, but I have seen this before, okay? And let's see if it actually played out from a timing perspective. I have seen this before, because you can count, if I take all the noise here out the way, okay, you can count this structure as, right, a W, X, Y. Look at that. Also a very short Y, okay? But now, from a timing perspective, let's also go check it out. The W. And then from the X. Yeah, also. So they do happen. Okay, I don't like it, but they do happen. Also made before the 0.382. And this is why, because of this is why some Elliotticians are counting it as an ABC. Because for them, it's in the WXY has been invalidated because of time. So some Elliotticians will look at the structure and say, no, it's an ABC. Because that way, from a timing perspective, it hasn't been invalidated from an ABC. Okay, so they count it as an A, B, sorry guys, that's wrong. They count it as an A, B, C. And then you have your expanding structure inside of your C wave. Right, where you basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 expanding structure. Can you see? Right, so from a timing perspective, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, and this is something that I like to hammer on, because some Elliotticians will argue amongst themselves. They will have fights and screaming matches. No, it's an ABC. No, it's a WXY. No, it didn't cross the zero. Like, they have these debates amongst them, and they're fighting. And I'm just saying, well, you know, the end result is the same. Whether this is a WXY or whether this is an ABC, guys, you know, you're fighting over stupid things. You know, you're fighting over an internal structure that doesn't matter. The end result is the same. Okay, and this is why I'm also saying, guys, even with this structure that we're forming right now, it doesn't matter how you count it. Okay, the end result is the same. Okay, because some people are counting this as a WXY. Some people are counting this as a WXY because X was a triangle. But they all come to the same level. Okay, so you have people fighting about the internal structures, and I'm just saying you're fighting over something that does not matter. Okay, you should, we all know it was going to end over here, regardless of how you count it. We all knew it was going to end over here. Okay, let's rather try and figure out together what is happening here. Okay, because now they're wasting all their time fighting about this structure that already took place. Okay, right. Agree with you, but the internal C that we are creating can't be higher than the internal A, because B went under the internal A. Right, I'm not sure. Are you talking about this one, ABC, or are you talking about ABC? I don't Doggy, I'm not sure which one you're referring to. Right, because A waves can be 3-wave structures. Okay, 1, 2, 3. B wave is always a 3-wave structure that we know, and then a C wave can be an expanding. You know, and even you know, if I now really have to start fighting over here, I will even argue with people. Well, an expanding structure is very rare in Elliott wave theory, never preferred unless all other scenarios fail. So then you would actually favor the WXY. Okay, because it's a scenario that has not failed. Right, some say Dewald is because there I buy, vice versa. Nice, did you smoke your... Right, war has no winners. Mark, please time him out, he's doing it on purpose. Mark, the wise man. Right, Mark Dutch doing the moderation work here inside the chat section. We only have love for positive comments, guys. If you want to be... Hey, you know, if you want to be a hater and you want to be negative here, you know, the mods are just going to kick you out, right? We're trying to keep it upbeat. Trading is not easy. I'm trying my best to educate and show you the levels that I'm shorting and longing, and not just the trades that I'm taking. Why am I taking these trades? So that you don't have to follow anyone anymore. So, you know, it's there's that, I won't say it's a saying, but there's this podcast that I listen to that says that if you can successfully trade without watching any social influencer, any Twitter, any social media for 6 months, and you can show consistent profits for 6 months, week after week, month after month, then you are a good trader. No signals groups, okay? Don't look at anyone else's analysis. Analyze the charts by yourself, and this is what I'm trying to educate you on the channel. I'm trying to help you see how the structures fit together so that you can go and do this all by yourself, because it's not easy. Right. Cool. Legends, thank you so much for smashing up that like button. I appreciate every single one of you being here. Remember, the best deals on these exchanges are on the links down below. Doesn't cost you anything extra. In fact, you only benefit by signing up with these links and coming to trade with me. Remember, the Wales, the Bluffin competition has officially kicked off. Okay, where we can share in $4.2 million in prizes. Go make sure that you register. Second link here down in the description. Thank you so much for joining. Until the next one, cheers for now.